by mentioning that for the first time I have behind me a big check. If people can maybe squint and see, says the American Rescue Plan in the corner. That was from Congressman John Larson's office, presented to the city last week at a great event that we had at the Russell Library with Congressman Larson and Congresswoman DeLauro. They both came to town to highlight some of the projects they've been touring the state, and Middletown was one of the stops, and we're glad that we were, to highlight the way that different communities are spending and utilizing their ARPA dollars. I'm very pleased again that at our last meeting we were able to approve some of our applications that have come before us. We were able to highlight those applications that were approved with a particular emphasis on some of the wellness programming that is going to be coming out of the library and the rec center, or the recreation department and the arts and culture office, as well as the work that Gilead is going to be doing with mental health navigation. So that was a great event. It is great to be working with you all to get these funds out into the community, and so I just did want to highlight that as it gets underway, and thank you again and welcome you for doing this work. So we have more business to get to today. We have some additional presentations. I want to discuss the kind of next steps now that we have many applications in the pipeline. Now we're getting to the point where we're going to be oversubscribed in terms of the dollars being requested versus the dollars that we have. I mentioned at our last meeting, and I'll just let everybody know for the record that we have allocated approximately $5.3 million of our funds out of the approximately 21 million that we have to allocate. But we have many applications that we are deeply in the process of reviewing and preparing to either grant fully or partially. So we want to also establish a good timeline for moving forward. So with all that being said, we will cover that over the course of the meeting. And without further ado, I'll start us off with public comment. As always, we invite any members of the public who are here and wish to speak to do so. I'll just stipulate that this is the public comment period is not the time to make our presentations. We have some presentations scheduled, which we will be getting to in just a few minutes. If you are intending to apply, you are free to introduce yourself and say hello during public comment, but want to keep that space separate, and please don't try to do a full presentation as part of that public comment. So with that disclaimer, are there any members of the public who wish to speak and address the task force this morning? All right, hearing and seeing none, we will close the public comment and move on to our business. We have approval of minutes for our last meeting on April 27th, 2022. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Thank you. As Councilman Pacina, and I believe I saw Brian Scavera seconding. So any discussion of that? All right, all those in favor of approval, please so signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, all abstaining. All right, thank you. Matter passes and the minutes are adopted, and we will move on now to new business. So as we have had for our last few meetings, we have three presentations that are going to be presenting today. Hope you should all have received their application materials. We're looking forward to hearing from all of them. And our first we'll tee up is the Middletown Fire Department, followed by 339 Main LLC, and followed by Nora Cupcake Company. We ask that for each of these presentations, you keep it to about 15 minutes. We will have some time for task force members to ask questions if they need to, and you are free to present in any format that you would like. We've had a number of folks who have presented just speaking and talking about their application and walking through what they have submitted. If you do need screen share privileges, just let us know, and Greg can get that set up for a presentation. And the next steps that will follow the presentations is that our committee will review what's been presented. We'll review the materials. There is a working group that is part of this committee that is making the recommendations on what the funding amounts should be as we work our way through these applications. So once you present, we will continue to evaluate and be in touch in the next week or two with what the next steps will look like Again, trying to move these through the process now that we have it set up as efficiently as we can. So we appreciate your being here and for your interest in moving some projects forward that will be very beneficial. And without further ado, we can start the presentations. And as I said, first up is Middletown Fire Department. Chief Jay Warren is here, and I will turn it over to you, Chief. And I'll start by saying we had a major incident last night. It was led by South Fire District, and thankfully everybody is okay. And very grateful for the very effective response there. And Chief, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Everyone can hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it was a long day yesterday between the brush fire and the structure fire in Freeman Road last night during the middle of the brush fire. So it was a night of not a lot of sleep, but I'm here this morning to present. I'd given some packets. Did packets make it to you with pictures and a narrative with the apparatus? Okay, very good.
Sounds like it did. Yes, yes.
Okay. So what we're requesting is the Middletown Fire Department. We replace our apparatus, our pumper apparatus, on a 12-year replacement plan. Our current engine 2, which runs out of the Cross Street Fire Station, is actually a 2008. So it's 14 years old. It's a couple of years past being replaced. And I know Chief Cronenberger kind of purposely left that one to be replaced for the next fire chief so that they could kind of customize the truck to what their needs were. So that's where we are. So when I took over as chief in October, we established a committee to replace this apparatus. At the same time, the Middletown Fire Department, we run a 100-foot tower ladder truck, which you have pictures of, the red 2009 Sutton tower ladder. And then we also had a spare 1997 Schmiel tower ladder. That truck had a catastrophic equipment failure, which led us to have to decommission it. It's just not worth the $35,000 to $40,000 it would take to replace. So we had to decommission that. So when we established the committee to look at a new pumper, between the pandemic and price increases and supply chain issues, the cost of building a truck has gone from about $500,000 to $550,000 to the $750,000, $800,000 range for a pumper. And we started to develop a specification for that purchase and build. And then as a committee talked about, they build something called a Quint, and you have pictures of that. It's basically a pumper truck with a 75-foot aerial attached to it. And as a committee, again, I talked with Public Safety Committee, we talked with the Mayor's office, and we thought it might be a better direction for us as a department to look at building a Quint. This would basically kill two birds with one stone. We would be able to have a second ladder truck, and also the platform of that is also a pumping apparatus. So you have the best of both worlds. So we kind of changed gears, shifted gears, started to put a specification together and get some pricing first as to what a Quint would cost us. And we're looking at about $1.2 million to build this apparatus. If we were to just standalone purchase and then another ladder truck would be in the range of $1.8 million. So by building this Quint, it's going to not only save a considerable amount of money, it'll give us a 20-year piece of fire apparatus, and it'll also give us the ability to have both a ladder and a pumper truck. The current truck one, our red Sutton tower ladder, which you have pictures of, is a large piece of fire apparatus. It's 48 feet long. It weighs 80,000 pounds. And when we set that up at a fire, it has stabilizing outriggers, which keeps it from tipping over. side to side. That requires 21 feet of roadway for us to set up. The Quint that we're specifying to buy, that truck will only be 38 feet long, 10 feet shorter, weighing 50,000 pounds, and only needing 14 feet of roadway to set up, which is a significant benefit to the department. A lot of our fire duty is in the north end of the city, where we have very tight streets, one-way road, dead-end streets, one-way streets. A great example would be the structural fire we had on Clinton Avenue last month, where that's a dead-end street, and we had a hard time getting our large ladder trucks set up on such a small street. We were actually able to sneak Portland's Quint down Kings Avenue and through someone's backyard and get it into the street and set it up and utilize it at the fire. So in the application, when I turned it into Joe Samolis, he ran the supporting documentation for it, gives you the demographics of the city. So we cover about 50% of the city's population with the Middletown Fire Department. That doesn't include daytime population that comes into the city. It's actually higher than that. But we do have some big areas that we cover. Sections of Route 9, Wesleyan University, Middlesex Hospital, all of Washington Newfield streets, all of Main Street and the buildings associated with it. The other piece to this puzzle is we provide mutual aid extensively throughout the area. Both of the other fire districts in the city, Westfield and South Fire, when there's a structural fire like there was last night, we provide them with 2 of our engines, which would be 2 lieutenants, 4 firefighters, a battalion chief, and an assistant chief safety officer. So this Quint apparatus actually will respond to 100% of the population of the city, because it will go to Westfield and it will also go to South Fire District for structural type fires. One of the benefits to the manufacturer of this piece of apparatus is the Schneel Company, and our tower ladder, which we had to decommission, they're actually going to take that tower ladder as a trade, along with the spare engine that will be decommissioned. They will take as a trade. What they're basically going to do with our decommissioned tower ladder is they'll fix that cat track, that $30,000 fix that they would charge us. I'm sure is a much cheaper fix for them as a company. They'll turn around and then they'll sell that as a used piece of fire apparatus. But we'll get a decent amount of money as a trade-in on something that we had to decommission, along with our spare apparatus. So, again, I attached some pictures. It shows the both. We went down and looked at Orange, Connecticut's Quint. So there's some pictures of a Quint in there. That's the town of Orange. That would be an identical piece of fire apparatus that we're looking to build. And in there you can see, I gave you some pictures of the stabilizers and the jacks and how that sets up and how much smaller it is than the existing footprint of the ladder truck we have. The other big benefit to having 2 ladder trucks, yesterday was a great example. We had the large brush fire out in South Fire District, so their entire department was tied up at the fire, along with a good portion of the Westfield Fire Department. So Middletown Fire was covering the rest of the city for that period. So again, our tower ladder was the main ladder truck covering the city. During the council meeting last night, when budget approvals were being done, the city of Meriden had a structural fire and requested us mutual aid with our ladder truck. And thankfully, they extinguished the fire quickly, and we were able to turn that asset back around. But having 2 ladder trucks in that situation would have been a tremendous benefit for us. If one was committed or had to be at the fire, we have another one available for the city. So this dual purpose fire apparatus is going to be it's really going to be a benefit to the Middletown Fire Department. Thus, the request for the ARPA funds. So again, I put pictures in. I put a picture in of our engine 2. As we do with all our apparatus, when that gets replaced, that will become our spare. So the 2008 pumper will become the spare, and then we'll be selling a 2002. So a 20-year-old pumper will be sold along with our old tower ladder. So basically, that's what we're looking to do. Those are the capabilities of this equipment, and I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone has. I'm trying to stay in my 15-minute time frame here. So,
thank you, Chief. Appreciate the presentation, and we have one hand raised, Brian Scavera. So, Brian, over to you.
Chief Warren, thank you for the presentation.
Sure.
I definitely see the need for this apparatus, given the amount of presentations you've been forced to do recently about how busy the fire department has been responding not only to emergencies in your own district, but in the districts to which you provide mutual aid.
Mm-hmm. Clear
need. And I think this comment might have to be addressed more so by staff than you, Chief Warren.
Okay.
Would love some clarification as to what approved use of ARPA funds this falls under. While I know the application checks off public health and safety and building stronger communities, I'm concerned that the actual final rule of the ARPA expenditures indicates that public health and economic impacts have to directly relate to either prevention of community violence or the direct impact of COVID-19. I understand this might also fall underneath the revenue loss, so I just want to be clear as we're considering this, what is the authorized use of funds that this falls under?
That's a great question. I can try to speak to it, but I think that Greg might be better equipped to do so. And of course, Chief, if you want to chime in as well. But Greg, can I have you field that one?
Sure. I think the revenue loss category is always a good catch-all. And I think so for all applicants, they have put in on the application itself their assessment of which category they fit under. I view those as sort of preliminary thoughts from applicants. I think before any of this goes forward, finally, certainly to Treasury, we'll vet it, we'll review it carefully internally. We'll make sure that, at least from my standpoint, that it is covered under ARPA. Now, ultimately, my assessment is just my assessment. The assessment that ultimately prevails is Treasury's, and this is developing. But we will, we'll keep doing our best, and I'll be confident to recommend something if we're going to fully go forward. I think this one will fit within one of those categories, and I have no problem with proceeding, at least at this level, pending, again, final confirmation. But it's a good question.
Again, if you don't mind, just a follow-up comment. And the reason I bring it up specifically for this project, and I haven't asked so much as other projects, is that many of our other proposals have come from small business or nonprofits who can justify a little bit easier, I think, that it falls under the public health and economic impacts because they're called out specifically. But something like public safety that doesn't relate to violence, I just want to make sure that we have a good justification approving an important, valuable project, and that we can stand behind our reasoning as a group. So thank you for your time.
One clarification I can give, I belong to a group, it's the Career Fire Chiefs Association. So we meet once a month. We actually met yesterday. So it's represented by any fire department in the state of Connecticut that is either a combination department or a fully career department. And this has been an issue that's really been talked about at each of our monthly meetings for the last year. And all the different cities and towns were all looking for clarification as to did public safety fit into the ARPA funding? And the majority of the organizations have been approved through their communities and are using ARPA funds, whether it be for maintenance and or additions to their fire stations or fire apparatus or vehicles, that sort of thing. So multiple communities have already gone forward using their ARPA funds for public safety projects. So if need be, I can get you a list of the different cities and towns in the state that are using ARPA funds for public safety. I can get that information through our committee.
Great. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Brig and Brian. Thank you for bringing that up because it is a very important point, I think, for all of us to consider, and that everybody understand what category we're going to be utilizing to make this funding available to the community. So thank you. Any other questions for Chief Warren? Councilman Pacina, go ahead. You're muted though.
Morning, Chief. Can you hear me?
Are you? Yes, I can.
Okay, sorry about that. If we get used to it by now. The trade-in for the 202 Merriam pumper apparatus.
Yes.
Oh, are they giving us? Are they giving you any money towards the 1.2 million?
Yeah. Yep. That money would be taken off that price.
How much would that be roughly?
In the past, we've gotten anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000 for a surplus pumper of that age. The tower ladder they're going to look at. They're coming in for a meeting on Monday, and they're going to do their assessment and let us know what the trade-in value of that's going to be. That will be higher than the pumper, obviously, because it's a more expensive piece of equipment that they can ultimately fix and sell through their organization.
Okay. And I know you gave us a little bit of a highlight at our Public Safety Commission meeting.
Mhm.
And personally, the concern that I have is not to go ahead with the purchase here, but the way the streets are laid out in the city. And I thought you brought out a great example when you used the other communities' smaller engine. And with the development that's happening and will happen in the future, I think we may be taking a possible proactive step towards public safety. And of course, I agree with your association, because I see the direct benefit. Because of, especially in this economic time where we're going to be growing. We're going to be growing very expeditiously. And so I thank you for your presentation as we did at Public Safety.
Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Chief. Any other questions for Fire Department? All right. Well, thank you, Chief, again for the presentation. We look forward to talking more and discussing and reviewing, and we will be in touch.
Okay. Thank you all. Everybody have a good day. Thanks.
Right. Thanks a lot. And moving right along, we will keep our presentations going. And next up is 339 Main LLC. We have David Mariso as well as some additional members from the team available. I don't know who will be leading the presentation, but you should be able to unmute. And if you do need screen share privileges, just let us know. So we'll turn it over to the 339 Main Street team, and thanks for being with us.
All right, guys, thank you so much for your time. I know that this is a little bit short timing. I'm on a plane. I'm taking off in about 15 minutes. And that's why I brought some other people from the team. I figured, like they said, the next available date is 11 o'clock on a Wednesday. I'm like, take it, whatever, we'll make it happen. I'm assuming that everybody has seen my application, and I don't know if I have to explain, but I think everybody knows that we have a huge housing shortage right now. And the reason why we're requesting ARPA funds is because, you know, especially through COVID with the pandemic, we've seen a lot of people struggling to find housing. So, I mean, we're in a nutshell, what we're doing is we're building 48 apartments in this site at 339 Main. It's been vacant for over 10 years. It's a difficult project, a very tight, complicated project because of the size of the property and how it's laid out. It's long and narrow. We plan to put 12 office spaces in the basement, a movie theater and a gym, and some other common area and amenities that will help all the tenants and visitors, people that want to rent office spaces. We're requesting $850,000 just to help us get this budget to make this make sense. It's like I said, construction materials and costs are extremely high today, and there's a lot of unknowns in the project. And in a nutshell, I mean, that's like, I didn't really prepare a fancy presentation with, you know, slides. I'm assuming everybody has seen the, you know, I think we presented the plans, right?
I believe that was what was submitted as part of, if you're referring to what was submitted as part of the application, I think that, yes, I think that everybody should have received that.
Okay, so I mean, yeah, the plans are pretty self-sufficient, and I'm here really to answer any questions that anybody has.
Right, great. Well, thank you for being here on short notice while you're traveling, and we appreciate it. And we've got some other additional members of the team here, it sounds like, as well. So any questions on the 339 Main project and submission from the group?
Yeah, I have my architect here, Fernando, he's on the line, and my partner Mel is on the line. So they're both here. If I get cut off in the middle, one of them should be able to answer.
Excellent. Thank you all for being with us. All right, any questions? We'll go to Brian, followed by Phil.
I sincerely apologize. I'm having a hard time locating the application. I have the fire application. If anyone has an electronic copy they could forward to me, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Get that over to you.
I can do as well.
Phil, did you have a question?
Yeah, well, I was struggling to try to find this, but what size are the apartments going to be? And how are you going to distribute the apartments?
We're gonna have between studio, 1 bedrooms, there's gonna be two bedroom apartments. Most of them are gonna be between 400 and 500 square feet. There's 8 units that are gonna be about 350 square feet. Those are small studios.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Kevin.
Yeah. Is it anticipated that any environmental remediation needed to be done on this space?
Yes, we have about $40,000 of asbestos work that has to be done there, and about another $35,000 for oil tanks that have to be removed.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions?
I just forwarded or re-forwarded the application to the group, so you should have in your inboxes.
Thank you, Brig. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for the questions. Thank you, David and team, for being with us, and hope you have a safe flight, and we will be in touch very soon.
Thank you so much for your time, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day. Bye.
Have a safe flight.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. Without further ado, we'll move on to our next and final presentation. And after that, we will have some time to discuss ongoing business. So Nora Cupcake Company is our next presenter. We have Carrie Corella here, as there might be some other folks who will be joining. But Carrie, I'll turn over the floor to you, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
I've done 2 Zoom calls in my whole COVID experience. So I just wanted to introduce myself in case of anyone that might not know me. I have been a resident of Portland, Connecticut my entire life. I went to school at Mercy, and right after college in 1997 came home and started working at Eli Cannon's in the North End. And I've been in the North End ever since. In 2011, I opened Nora Cupcake Company with a very strong focus of promoting the North End for businesses, specifically small business, local business, small entrepreneurs, to, follow their passions and create, just cool spaces. Um, it's been very successful, over the last 10 years. And about 2 years ago, I promoted my director of operations, and she and I opened a restaurant on Warwick Street. It's called Harry's Jailhouse. So, empowering her, promoting her, helping her become an entrepreneur. And with COVID, we found lots of things changed uh, in regards to the business structure of Nora. Um, People don't come in and hang out. It's more of a grab and go. We're doing a lot more delivery, catering, offsite. People don't want to be gathered together as much anymore. So that left my dining room space, which was for coffee and cupcakes, vacant. So brainstorming, my director of bakery, Audrey LaRosa, she and I came up with a concept to create a small batch curated ice cream store. So we are partnering together to hopefully create that. Simultaneously, our friends across the street at Eli's are opening the Harbor Park and said, "Hey, do you want to make your ice cream and sell it down there at Harbor Park?" So, of course, yes, that was the answer to that question. And also simultaneously, the current owner of my property is wants to sell his building. So in order for me to stay where I am, I would like to buy the property and have been investing since September or August, to make the moves to buy the property. I've currently invested $65,000 of Nora's money to towards the down payment, and I'm in the process of getting a mortgage from Berkshire Bank, hopefully. And I just have a lot of plans and ideas of what I'd like to do in the space to continue to house the 14 residents that are upstairs. I'd like to fix the parking behind the property so that it's more efficient and safe, and there's lights and lines, and the tenants and the employees of the businesses there can utilize that space and take off-street parking off the table for them. And yeah, I would like to continue to invest in the North End and continue to grow entrepreneurs at Nora. Seems to be a creative space where they just keep flourishing, and that's what I'm asking for. Um, I think the application says that we're requesting $500,000 to help us create the ice cream store, to help us build or help us fix the parking in the back, and to continue to make proper renovations to the property.
Right.
Any
Thank you.
questions?
Thank you very much. And we appreciate you being here, and we'll open it up for any questions. So task force members, any questions for Carrie? And right. No questions, it looks like.
Okay.
So we will follow up if anything comes up, and we appreciate you being here, and looking forward
Thank
to
you.
taking a deeper dive into the application, and we'll be in touch very soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you. And that concludes our presentations for this morning. So why don't we continue on our agenda here? We have a discussion of recommendations, and at this time, why don't we'll take the opportunity to just give a little update on what has been approved so far. I see Kevin, and I see Kevin has a hand up, and Phil as well. So
Sorry, Mayor.
we got a couple questions.
Sorry to interject, but we
No
do.
problem.
There was another presentation on the agenda, the Cross Street Training and Academic Center.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Yes.
am looking at an outdated agenda in that case. I apologize. So we will move on to that presentation. And do we have let's see. I'm not sure whether Reverend Harville or somebody else will be leading that, but we'll turn it over to them. And I apologize for the mix-up.
Thank you, Mayor. I was
All right,
also
Reverend Anderson.
trying to get your attention as well. If you could give Pam Kelly so she can share the slides.
Yes, rule.
And good morning, everyone.
Morning, Reverend.
So while she is, preparing, I can just start it. Just so you have some idea, the Ministerial Health Fellowship is a program that's hosted, that's through the Cross Street Training and Academic Center, which is a faith-based organization that's made up of pastors, church leaders, as well as organizations, community organizations. And a big part of what we do is really to address health disparities as it relates to people of color through advocacy work that we do in terms of policy changes as it to address the health concerns of people of color. We've been very instrumental in several different policy changes in terms of affordable health and even around the bills for community health workers and also for doulas and also affordable dental care. And certainly have been done a lot of work as it relates to COVID-19 and even, advocating for racism to be declared a public health crisis. And so very proud to say that even Middletown was one of the first 9 cities, towns to actually declare racism as a public health crisis. And so, in the work that we also do in terms of our advocacy, we also have programs that are designed to, work in the community and to meet the needs of the community, but also to lift the community voice so that they might also voice what they would like to see and some of the things that they're going through, which hopefully will affect the way in which we think about people of color and really addressing their well-being and their needs as it relates to equity as well, health equity. So the project that we are, so all of us know that through COVID-19, that, not only did a disproportionate rate of persons of color died from COVID-19 and still continue to be affected as well as any of us, no matter who we are, but also as a result of that, also even prior to the pandemic, there were some, concerns in terms of, health equity as well as, addressing the social determinants of health. But COVID-19 just kind of pulled the covers off, and also even economic issues that continue to exist in the, in the community, people of color. And even the wealth gap and some of those things that continue to put people in a place in which they live in impoverished situations. And so even though, we beefed up services and we beefed up ways in which we actually addressed food insecurities and transportation and income and all of that, it still continues to be a Band-Aid unless we do some other things that will help to put people in a better place economically, not only just before COVID-19, but it's even worse now that we've experienced COVID-19 and then also persons not working and that kind of thing. So one of the things that this project is also part of this project is really to look at how do we help people of color not only, continue to just make it based on, some of the things that have been put in place for them, which are great things that have been put in place for them. And certainly Middletown has certainly rise to the occasion, but also what are some of the things that's going to help them to continue to propel forward in income recovery and being able to pay off, past debts. Also to be able to put themselves in a place economically that they can go forward and take care of themselves and take care of their families, and also be able to enjoy some of the things that a lot of us and others enjoy if they had someone that would help them and invest in them being able to be in a better place economically. So one of the things that we have also, and we have now and currently, but the importance of really having community health workers on the ground in the community who are from the community, who help others navigate the community, whether it's the medical system, whether it's various resources that they may need for themselves and also their families. And also very much so, we even use them to, as you all know, we have been operating the faith-based vaccination clinic thanks to the partnership with the city at Cross Street, which also brought a lot of people of color, but also going door to door. We have on the ground helping people to know about COVID-19, to be able to know where they can get tested, to know where they can get vaccinated, to tell them about the various vaccines and all of that. So it's so important that people have trusted messengers, trusted people that they can trust. So a part of this project would be also to have two additional community health workers that will be working side by side with persons in the community to help them to be in a better place economically through helping them to what we call the income program, in which we would have the grant income program assistance program. So what we're proposing to do is to really take at least 20 to 25 families a year and be able to really work with them, those that the credit, to help them to increase their credit scores, to help them to pay off debts that they have, to really teach them how to really manage their funding. So at least, and it will be that they will be in the program at least a year, and put them in how to save and to put them in a place that hope economically in a year that they'll be in a better place with their credit scores. They'll be in a better place in terms of eliminating some of the debt that they actually have. And so that would also put them in a place in which prayerfully they'll be able to, if they wanted to become homeowners and those kinds of things, and enjoy the quality of life that they should and be able to enjoy if they were able to eliminate debt, and to be able to even live in places that will also be more conducive to some of the health conditions and some of the things that they have also. So, and then, just teaching them about financing. We're hoping that we're able to partner with, and I have gotten some soft confirmations from various banks that will be more than happy to work with us in this process. And I will say that I was privileged to be able to, some years ago, work on a project that we did take some persons and we helped them to save their money. We helped them to be able to pay off some of the debts that they have. Many people of color don't even know the debts that they have, especially medical debts from co-pays and other things that they could not pay that really is on their credit scores, that affects their credit scores and therefore limits them to being able to have access to things. And so we help them save money, taught them how to save. We taught them how to budget. We also, help them in the process of paying off all of their debt, raise their credit scores, and many of them were also that are now today home owners. And so again, that's and so and then the other part of the project is also many people know that churches are also very much part of the community, and that when people need financial assistance, when they need food or any kinds of transportation assistance, prescription medications, and those kinds of things, we are the ones that they come to be able to help with assisting with them. So a part of this is that through COVID-19, through a private foundation, we had were able to meet the needs of many people. So a part of this project would also be to in many grant form, to be able to allocate funds to churches to be able to continue to operate their food banks that they have, to also develop programs and trainings and stuff in there to help people to budget, to help people to get into a better place financially, to help them with their credit scores, to assist them in rental assistance that may be needed to pay off back rents, because we also know that many of those programs have no longer existing right now. But to really be more integral and more part of being able to have the funds that are needed to be able to meet the vast needs that continue to exist. They already, like I said, were in place, but they even more have tripled since COVID-19. And so this would be part of the our ability to also help to put people in a better place, also income-wise, and also being able to assist them still in the needs that they continue to have, even currently, and even in the post-pandemic years to come. As we all know that things have really gotten expensive, they have doubled, and people are just, and even with the addition to SNAP benefits and all of that, the way food prices and everything else, it still puts them in a position. And then some people are not comfortable going to lines, or they're just in places where they may not qualify for various kinds of things, but to have that flexibility to be able to assist them also. And this would be done strictly through the churches, would be granted funds to be able to help with that. They would be monitored, and we would certainly send you a report of all of those things in the way in which we distribute. Again, during COVID, we were able to secure some funds from the foundation, Community Health Foundation, but this would also even assist us even more in being able to meet those needs. And so the next slide is basically what we're asking for, as we talked about the community health workers, being able to, the majority of the funds are really going out to those families, being able to address their needs, as well as the emergency relief funding, and then also some administration. So that is our budget. If you can go to that slide, Pam, at the end.
You got it.
That would be, and also you receive that in your packet. And so again, we just feel like the next slide that then it's $605,000 for 1 year and 615. We're asking for this to be for 2 years, and we're looking, we'll be looking to also be able to possibly, through banking, through banks, and through other foundations, as well as just really looking at our revenue and economic development, that we would be able to sustain the project even further in the future. Again, I just wanted to say in our proposal, and the reason why we did submit our proposal is the fact that we do see that a big part of this is really, as we declared racism as a public health crisis, as we have even set up our anti-racism task force to be able to really assist people in economic recovery, but also to put them in a better place, that they come out of these impoverished situations and they're able to sustain themselves and sustain their families, and also have a better quality of life. So thank you for hearing us. Certainly would be open if you have any questions.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Reverend Anderson and team, and thank you for being here. And I apologize for the oversight. I have the correct agenda in front of me now. We've been, many of us, looking forward to this presentation.
Yeah. So, and I should say that we're looking to serve over 3,000 families between the emergency relief fund, as well as 3,000 persons, and then also the project on really economic recovery.
Great. Excellent. Well, thank you again. We'll have an opportunity for some questions, and we'll start with Brian, who has his hand up, and I'll just ask if we could bring down the presentation so that we can kind of see each other again. That would be helpful. Thank you so much. And Brian, over to you.
Briefly, it's just a paperwork. I have the copy of the proposal that was included in the packet, but it did not include the budget breakdown. If could just that be circulated as part of an updated packet?
Oh, sure. I can send that to you. Yes.
Thank you
Most,
very much.
most certainly.
Reverend Anderson, if you want to send that to me and Brig, we'll get it to the group. That would be great.
Most certainly.
Thank you. We'll go next to Reverend Harville. Thank you for being with us, as always.
Thank you. Just like to make an added statement. I want to thank Reverend Robin Turner for exceptional work that she's done and continue to do in the city of Middletown and across the state. She has the ability to see the needs and then develop programs to meet those needs. And this program will certainly help so many. This will help many would be the working poor. They know how to fish, but not how to navigate through these pandemic waters that we have to face today. And so it meets the needs of many who many times get left out, even with the opportunity we have today. So many times they're left behind and left out in these opportunities. So we hope that this program will certainly be a game changer for so many in our community, and it would directly help and meet their needs. So I want to thank Reverend Robin Anderson for her work and her labors. And as usual, the things she do normally becomes a model for the state. And so I'm pretty sure this will become a model for the state as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Harville. And again, all of this, again, as I said to you before, we have persons that are on the ground. We're out every day, door to door. And this is what people say that they need. The community is saying that they need.
Thank you, Reverend Harville, for those additional comments. And we'll go next to Councilman Pacino, who's got his hand up.
Good morning, Reverends.
Good morning.
Always nice to see your face.
You
Reverend
too.
Harville, my dear friend. The only thing I just want to get clarification in your presentation, which was wonderful. You said that you're looking to utilize or select 12 families. Is that per year? Because I know you're asking for there. And then I guess, how will you arrive at selecting 12 families with the amount of health disparities and abilities to pay within our community?
Yes, thank you. That's a great question. And thank you so much for asking that. Yes, what we, of course, the need is vast, but we certainly want to, we're starting out with the 25 families. And so it would be an application process, because really a part of this would be that they would have to agree to, as they receive funding, it could be like every month they receive funding. And so to be able to agree that they would actually work with the community health worker around budgeting, that they would, have the kind of debt or have a debt that they're willing to really focus on paying off. It could be a utility bill. It could be some other bills that they may have had, that they're willing to really work on that each month, and that the funding will be used for that to put them into a better place. And then also it would be to really, monitor and really help someone to be closely, they're working with that person, and they have to be willing to do the funds that are going to be expended to them, that they're going to be used for a specific purpose, and have to be in agreement and willing to work with us within a year with a plan of how we're going to help them to be in a better place economically. And so, some people may not be able to do it. Some people may not want to do it. It could be some that it would take, certainly more than a year, and not saying that we would not have them do it, but we may have to look at another means to be able to do it. So again, it's a commitment on their part also. And some people will make that commitment and some people will not make that commitment, or, situations could change in which they're not able to do it. So it is going to be hard to stick with the 25 families, because I'm sure I got hundreds of families that are able to do it. But certainly we're hoping that, as we continue to move forward, that hopefully maybe other additional, and maybe even banks would also help us to invest in this as well, and they would be willing to help if we're able to, really show the need for more than 25 families that would need this and are willing to sign on to this and work with us.
Yeah, and I thank you for the presentation. It's rather unique. And it goes along with what we do here in Middletown. We always step forward, not looking back. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Harville.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Great. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Reverend Anderson, again for that great response. And any other questions for this presentation? All right. Well, thank you for, again, a very thorough overview, and we're looking forward to being in touch soon as we work our way through the rest of the applications. So thank you very much, and we'll keep moving on here. I know we've got a couple other things to get to as we approach the top of the hour. So that was, in fact, our last presentation, and I'll now ask Brig if you can give us maybe a quick overview of where we are on recommendations. As we mentioned, of course, we approved several applications at the last meeting. I don't know if there are any others that are going to be pending and ready for us next time around. So we'll get that update. And then I also would like to touch on the closure of the application window. So Brig, over to you for just where recommendations are.
Thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Thanks, Mayor. Let me share my screen. We have, just a long story short, we have no new recommendations from the working group for this week. And I'll just share with you the current rubrics. We don't lose sight of where we are. Okay, so as you can see, we have at this point recommended approval for several projects. The most recent one was the J.R. Hargraves project, which we recommended partial funding for. The Common Council actually took that up at its last meeting and authorized the expenditure. So we'll be proceeding with that, and we're in contact with Mr. Hargraves about that and moving forward. The remaining recommendations are going to be going in front of the Common Council, hopefully for its upcoming June meeting. And then we will continue as a working group to go through the ones that we've been listening to so far, and hopefully at some point soon we'll be wrapped up with everything.
Thank you, Brig. Any questions about that?
Hey, Brig, can you share that to our working group?
I absolutely will. I'll email this to you presently.
Thank you.
Right, and that'll have all of the updates of where things stand.
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you. So next up, approval process and timeline. We have been discussing this a little bit with the group as well as within the smaller group in the last few weeks, that we are now, if we were to approve all the applications at the requested amounts right now in the pipeline, we would be oversubscribed for our funding. That is why we have a process. We're not just handing them out first come, first served. And so that is not what is going to happen. And that's why we're, again, here and reviewing all these things thoroughly and making these recommendations. But with that being the case, and knowing that there will be more interest, it does make sense at this point to contemplate when we should close off applications. It's my recommendation, and the staff that has been working on this, that we do that soon. And my recommendation to this group would be to do that in 30 days at the end of the week of the date. The date would be June 10th, which is Friday. So 30 days from now, we will, if there is no objection here, we will announce that so that people have ample time to finish and prepare anything that they may have been intending to submit, but also allow us to navigate what we have on our plate already and make sure that we get these funds allocated to the appropriate uses. So is there anybody who wants to weigh in on that, or any concerns with that being the date for our final submissions? Brian Sequeira.
I would just say, and I'd be happy to make a formal motion, that we stop accepting applications 30 days after a press release is issued. I would hate to say 30 days from the end of this week, but then we don't announce it for 2 weeks because of just oversights.
Understandable. So why don't we can have that motion made with the stipulation that it will be 30 days from when it is publicly announced in the newspaper. So does that accurately characterize that, Brian?
I would say newspaper is not necessary. We have just a press release that is sent through the normal mechanisms that the city leverages. I don't frankly need us to encumber fees just to publish that we're going to close applications, because I don't think that's required by law.
That makes sense.
Mayor,
Yes, Phil.
I'll second Brian's motion and I'd like to speak to it. I think that's a very good decision. You know, I only jumped in on the subgroup here, and I know the work that has been done and we are doing with these applications. So it may be perfect because we get a number done for our June council meeting, and then we could slate for our working group to get the remainder done for our July meeting, so that it's the timing of the new fiscal year as well as finishing out our ARPA applications. And that's the way I'm looking at it. As a suggestion, respectfully to you, Mayor Integrate.
Great. Thank you, Phil. I think that makes a lot of sense, and that'll be I think an ambitious goal to get everything approved, but it's a worthwhile one, and I think regardless, we'll keep moving forward and get these allocated. So, well, thank you. Motion's been made and seconded, and we will get to work on that today so that we can get it publicly announced by the end of the week. So, any further discussion on that? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All abstaining? All right, thank you. Matter passes unanimously, and we will get that out shortly. I think that we kind of covered some old business when we were doing discussion of recommendations, so we already got our report on current expenses and balances. If there's any questions on that, let us know. But why don't we go straight to the report for water and sewer. I don't know if there are any major updates since the last time we were together, but Joe Fazzino is here. So Joe, I'll turn it over to you. And then we can wrap things up with some other business.
Thank you, Mayor. We're continuing to do the investigation of the various basins with our consultants. You may have seen the van truck and the police duties out doing manhole inspections, TV cammering of the existing sanitary sewer lines, and working on a budget for construction. This money that was approved was for the investigation of our inflow and infiltration, which is a big cost that the sewer department has as part of our Mattabasset waste removal expense. So the more that we can get out of the system, the better off we are. There are no new projects other than the one that I discussed, which was the water booster station on Bartholomew Road. So I do propose on getting that in before the 30-day deadline. That would be for the replacement of the Co Avenue pump station, which would have an emergency backup pump and the generator, and it would handle the college and the temple and that area of the water distribution system. That is a 1969 vintage pump station. It's already had one upgrade, and it would be used as a backup for future. But we would be putting in a new station on Bartholomew Road, or proposing to put in a new station on Bartholomew Road. And there is no new news on the water main work for Saybrook Road, and we're continuing to do internal projects with Public Works on some of the streets that they're working on. So they're upgrading areas in the Westfield area. We're working with them to upgrade our system and make sure that we try to address them as before they do final paving. So that's all I have.
Great. Thanks, Joe. Any questions about that? All right. Well, thank you, Joe. And other business, I just lastly want to touch on one thing, which is to thank Christina Heckert for her work on our working group. She has some new professional responsibilities, I understand, that are going to be taking her away from that. And so if there are others who are interested in helping to review applications as part of that working group, please let Greg or myself know. And I just want to say thanks to Christina for all of her help, and not to put you on the spot, but you're welcome. If you want to say anything about your next steps, feel free. But to just wanted to really thank you for your work on the committee, and looking forward to continuing to have you, as I understand it, involved in this process, just a little bit less intensively. So thank you.
Yes, no, thank you, Mayor. And so I am leaving Middlesex United Way. My last day is next Wednesday. So I'm joining a DC-based consulting firm. We have a lot of national clients. We work in politics. We work in environmental space, women's reproductive health. So I'm very excited on my next adventure. I'm still staying in Middletown, so I'm a Middletown resident, and I'm happy to stay on the task force. But doing the sort of the weekly working group is just, I think, a little bit too much for me to commit to, given my new role. So, I look forward to continuing to work with you all, and thank you very much for letting me to, continue serving. So.
Well, thank you for doing it, and we're lucky that you were here at United Way when you were, because we were really glad to have you a part of it and to continue. So thank you. Any other new business or any other items for the good of the order here? All right. Well, thank you as always for being a part of this, and for your time, folks. And we'll keep it moving as best we can and get the rest of this big check cashed. So thank you for your help, and have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Do we need a motion to?
We need a motion. I thank you, Brian. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I have my hand up.
Thank you. Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We stand in adjournment at 12:10, and we'll see you soon.
Stay healthy and safe, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.